There we are.
Good morning, friends. Welcome to another episode of Pantry to Plate. We are coming to you live from the Kaiser Permanente Learning Kitchen. And we have with us Chef Virginia Willis. Welcome to the kitchen. Welcome back.
Yay, I'm glad to be back.
I'm so glad you're here today.
It's fun.
Especially on the topic that we're going to share. As you know, when I have guests, we're usually talking about their cultural heritage foods. So today we're going to get the chance to learn a little bit about Chef's background and the foods that she grew up eating here in the South. She's a Southern girl.
That's right. That's right. Here, the minute I open my mouth.
Same. So there's a couple things that are, I think, really cool and simple to make. So these recipes are really going to fall into your budget-conscious meal planning. And let's get started.
Yeah.
What are we making today, Chef?
So we are going to make buttermilk cornbread, pinto beans, and sauerkraut. So this is just good old-fashioned country cooking.
So good.
So one of my favorite ways to eat. So let's talk about pinto beans first. So beans are good and good for you.
Absolutely.
Very good for you. They are high in fiber, and we know that fiber is good for your gut. Beans are very inexpensive. Dried beans are even less expensive than canned beans. But you do have to do a little bit of work.
There's a little bit of work involved to save some dollars. Really.
Yes. So there's a couple different ways that you can do it. So you can, and it's so sweet on here. It says soak while you sleep. So what you can do is you can measure out your beans and you can put them in a pot of water or a bowl of water overnight. And that allows them to sort of rehydrate, and that will make them easier to cook. And you can also do what's called a quick soak. So a quick soak is when you put the beans in a pot of water and you bring it to the boil. And then the minute it comes to the boil, you turn it off and you let it sit for about an hour. And it's still an hour, but it's called a quick soak. But you want to soak your beans before you cook your beans. And it will depend. The thing about beans is it depends. I know that you know. How old they are, because if they are older, then they may take longer to cook, right? So that's just how do you tell when they're done? You just need to taste one.
Yeah,
just need to taste one. So here, what I have going on. First, we're going to start with the onion. So I'm going to I have the root end here and the stem end here. So not yet. Okay, so then I'm going to trim off that stem end, and then now I can rotate my onion so I have a flat surface. Okay, and then I'm going to slice through the root end, because anytime you have a round vegetable, and I know you know this, anytime you have a round vegetable, you want to get a flat surface so it's less likely that you're going to cut yourself.
Safety first.
Safety first. And then what I do with this I save. So I save these bits. It's not a trash can, but what I do is I save these bits and then put it in a pot, bring it to a boil, and then that can be a vegetable stock, which is just free money.
Yeah,
I do that.
I like to keep a bag in my freezer.
Exactly.
And any of your scraps can go in there. That is free stock.
It is free stock, exactly. And you don't have to have any meat or bones in it if you want it to be vegetable or vegetarian, or if you do, if you want to, you can. But it's a great idea to keep a freezer bag.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. We're all about thinking about how we can make the most of what we have available to us.
Yes, exactly. All right, so we have some beans that are quick soaked. I'm going to show these to y'all. I'm going to chop my onion. I'm going to go over here. All right, so what these are not beans that are cooking. They are beans that we have just quick soaked. And you'll see that they're still firm. We probably need to drain these.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
May I ask you to do that for me, please?
Yes.
All right. And then so for the onion, what I'm going to do here is I've got the flat surface, and with the pad of my palm, not that my fingers, I'm going to make a couple of horizontal slices. And then now I'll go back and do some vertical slices. And then now all I have to do is go back across and chop that onion. All right, I'll do it with the other one as well.
Are we just doing a drain, or are we doing a rinse?
Either way. I mean, you can just drain them. Okay. That should be fine. Yeah. And then I guess we'll need that pot.
Yeah, coming right back to you.
Okay. All right. And then so this is a super, super simple recipe. And we can have it as we're going to have it today with just beans. But if you had leftovers, you could mash them and turn them into refried beans.
My favorite.
Love it. You can also use them, like put them into salads or as a side dish. I mean, they're very, very versatile. Oh, and then so let's get another pot so we can saute our onion. So do this one here.
You want to use the shallow pot?
Yeah, that would be great so that
There we
people
go.
can see it.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, get that going.
Some olive oil or what?
Olive oil will work great. Just a little, a dab will do you.
Here we go.
All right, so we'll get our onion going. And then I've got some garlic. So garlic is great. Garlic is good and good for you. It's going to give some great flavor. And what you can do also is just take that little stem part off. It's not imperative, but these can be made in a pot on the stovetop. They can be made in a crock pot or a slow cooker. If you have an Instapot, beans are great in the pressure cookers. They take a lot less time. And this will just cook down into just melty garlic. It's going to be delicious. All right. And you'll see, like we've got a nice little onion stock broth going there already. So I'll put these in, even though we've got more onion. All right. And then we'll just put the whole garlic cloves in just like that. And then I have some ground thyme. So this is, you can use dried thyme, you can use powdered thyme, you can use fresh thyme if you have it. We'll put the thyme in. And then there's a big controversy about salting beans or not salting beans.
Yes, so I was really looking forward to your take on this.
There's some rice in there. It's okay. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I always salt my beans. And I learned this from, there's a great bean company. And he salts his beans, Rancho Gordo. He says to salt the beans. I salt the beans. This man knows more about beans than most people have ever.
I do believe it.
Yeah. So Rancho Gordo they're heirloom beans and they're precious. You have to get on a waiting list to get to order them and stuff. But he says that you should salt your beans. So I take him as the expert. And we're going to add some pepper. And then now we'll add our drained pinto beans.
Thanks.
And these have been quickly soaked. And you can use all different kinds of beans. These are great. Cannellini beans are good. Pinto beans are good. Red beans. I grew up in Louisiana eating red beans and rice. So red beans are also
And here in the South, we might come across limas or butter beans.
Exactly.
Any of those work in this cook method.
Right. And then now I'm going to add some chicken stock, or we could add vegetable stock, or you could add just plain water if you wanted to. We'll bring those to a boil.
Okay, I'll scoop it out. I'll scoop it.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
So you can bring them to a boil, reduce the heat to simmer, and then you're going to cook them until the beans are tender. And depending on the age of the bean, that might take an hour. It might take up to 3 hours. So you just need to kind of keep an eye on them and keep them going. But those are going to taste delicious.
They already smell good.
I know. It's good old-fashioned country cooking.
Yes.
Good old-fashioned country cooking.
The beauty of this is the variety of ways that you can serve them. So if you are a working parent and you are on a time crunch, you can make a pot of these on a day that you have some extra time and you just happen to be around the house, because you don't have to babysit these, right?
No, exactly.
Or you can serve them through the week.
No, exactly. And the other thing is that, okay, I thought this was super cute. Soak while you sleep, cook while you work. So place soak beans in a crock pot, cover with water, and cook on low for 10 hours.
I love it.
So if you're a slow cooker person, it's really great, and it's a great time of year.
Perfect time of year for beans.
And but there's not any time of the year that's not perfect for cornbread.
Oh, I agree with that.
I love cornbread.
I agree with that.
I love cornbread. So what we're going to do here, we're going to get started on our cornbread, and I'm going to go. All right. So here I have a hot skillet that I had in the oven. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of butter, and we're just going to, it's nice and hot. That's it right there. That will be fine.
I think so too.
Fine.
It's ready.
Yeah, it's ready. All right, y'all. So here I've got some cornmeal. I'm going to add some baking soda. I'm going to add some salt. I always, people are you biscuits or cornbread? Are you team biscuit or team cornbread?
I think there's a time and a place for both.
I'm with you. I am
there's
completely
a time and a place for both.
Exactly. You don't have to choose. You don't have to choose at all. All right. And then so I'm going to add the great thing about cornmeal and cornbread is that it can be a whole grain, and you want to make certain that you get real cornmeal, not a cornbread mix.
Exactly. So the way you know if it is a mix or if it's just the cornmeal is you're going to check the ingredients on the back, and it will just say cornmeal.
That's right.
And it might say baking soda and some other things that would just make it, add your liquid and then you bake it. But we don't need those things.
No.
We can add those on our own.
That's right. All right. And then so I have buttermilk. Now, if buttermilk is not something that you keep normally in your refrigerator, you can make buttermilk by adding like a tablespoon of vinegar to regular milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an amazing kitchen hack.
Yeah. But, I had a magazine a couple years ago asking what I did with leftover cornbread. And I thought, well, what the heck's leftover? Not leftover cornbread, sorry. Leftover buttermilk. And I'm like, well, why would you have leftover buttermilk? That's like saying I have leftover milk or leftover flour.
Yeah.
It's a pantry staple. And the great thing about buttermilk is that you can get the buttermilk that's reduced fat. So you have all that great flavor. All right, so we've got our buttermilk and our egg. And then that skillet was so nice and hot that it melted our butter. Hot. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. It's still hot.
Yes, that's supposed to be the buffer, but it's hot.
This is a beast of a skillet.
It is huge.
Yeah. All right, so nice and hot. May I ask you to move that just a little bit? Here, we'll do it just like that. There we go. All right, so I want to make sure that you guys can see this. All right, so I'm going to stir.
Yeah, we can see it.
Stir the buttermilk and egg and that melted butter into the cornmeal. And if you wanted to make like a cheese cornbread, you certainly could.
Yeah.
That would be great. You could add some grated cheese if you wanted to add. I like in the summertime especially, I'll put lots of vegetables in it. So make a vegetable cornbread.
Yes.
And you just want to make sure that those vegetables are cooked. But this is old school. This is just old school, regular old buttermilk cornbread. It's going to taste delicious with our beans.
Yum.
All right. So I'll grab that if you'll grab the door. All right. We pop this in the oven. That's going to cook for about 20 to 25 minutes. And y'all let us know if anybody has any questions.
We're at 450 in the oven over here. So really high temperature and cooks really quickly.
All right. So our last recipe for today is a lacto-fermented vegetables.
Tell us about this.
So let's talk about that. So lacto, typically you think of lactate, lactose. It's a milk sugar, but there's no milk here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a brine and we're going to ferment the vegetables, and it's super easy. No worries at all, right? All right. So we had some purple cabbage. You can use a green cabbage. And the great thing is that I like this. I like to use this on vegetables that might be on the way out.
Yes.
Right. It's just a great way to use it. So we've got the cabbage, and I'm just going to slice it, and you can have it in bits like this, or if you wanted to slice it where it's longer and skinnier, you can too. Either way is fine. And
I was in the mindset of chow when I cut it really small like that.
Well, let's talk about that difference, because chow is something that would also typically go on beans. You know what I think I need is a bigger bowl.
I got you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm going to get my hands in there. All right, so we've got the purple cabbage. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. And we also have some onion. Okay, that's going to be nice. And then, and I just love this. This is just nice and crunchy. Got some, you know, the lacto fermentation. It's got some good bacteria. It's good for your gut. All right, and then we'll chop these ends off. And then once again, this would go into the back of the scrap pile. Exactly. And then so you can cut these any different way you'd like. But we're just going to slice them into rounds. So chow chow is something that is typically also served with beans, and chow chow is more like a pickle, right? So it's more like a pickle that has vinegar and spices in it. And this doesn't have any vinegar. What pickles this is the salt and the water and the natural bacteria that's in the air. So we'll mix all this up, and then we salt it. So I'll put some salt over the top, and what's going to happen is that the salt starts pulling out the moisture, right? So we just want to kind of give that a toss. And this is a wonderful, this is just it's a great recipe for using up bits and pieces. And then I have a jar here. And we'll just put this in. Just like that. And then may I ask you to grab me some water?
Yes.
That'd be awesome. Thank you. So y'all, I have been working with the food bank for years and ages, and the Atlanta Community Food Bank is one of the premier food banks in the country. And it's a blessing that we have such a great food bank here in the Atlanta area and servicing so many people. And
I think that jar was a good size.
That jar was a good size.
I was worried.
Nope.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it gonna be? It's gonna be so pretty. And then the deal is, you want to leave this out at room temperature, and we want to let it sit for a few days, just at room temperature. And then you can tell it'll depend on your kitchen, right? How warm your kitchen is, and so. That will completely depend on how long it might take, but you just want to taste it after just a couple days. Made a good mess here.
Okay, you're not cooking unless you make a little bit of a mess.
Exactly right. So now the most important thing is that you want, hello Virginia, you want to,
not the best one for flooring.
What the heck?
There we go.
Something like that. Okay, it has to be covered with brine or covered with water. Okay, so that the salt in here, if I taste that, it tastes nicely salty. And then all we have to do, I forgot the celery, but that's okay. So we can also put celery in. I love the crunch of celery. And what I generally do with that is I slice it right on the diagonal. Just put a couple pieces in on the top. But you want to make sure that it's submerged. So I have a couple different things. You can buy the glass doohickeys. That's a very proper term that helps weigh them down. I also have a box of kitchen rocks, but I use rocks. So as long as it's nice and clean, but you want to make sure that the vegetables stay submerged. And then what we do is you can take a piece of cheesecloth or a piece of cotton. You can use like a paper towel. You could use, not a paper towel, you could use a kitchen towel. And then we simply cut a piece just like that. And it's just that simple. It's just that simple. I'm going to let this hang out for a couple of days. And then it stays nice and crunchy. Got a little funky on it. It tastes a little, it's a natural fermentation, but it's absolutely delicious. And it's got so much good bacteria.
I'm super excited to try them. But it's going to take a minute. We're going to have to let them sit.
Yeah, it takes a couple days. So let's do this. Let's look at our beans and I'll clean up a little bit, look at the beans that we did ahead, and we'll check out our cornbread too.
We got a good boil over there.
Yeah. Okay. Yummy. So these are the.
Let's move it over so we can see it. There we go. This is the one from earlier.
Yeah. So these are not remotely cooked, right? So these are just the ones that we soaked. Can you see it? All right. And these are the ones that we have cooked ahead. And I'll put those back over there. Okay. Here we go. And I'm going to grab the cornbread and we'll serve it up. How's that sound?
Perfection.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think there's two schools of thought on how you serve the cornbread with the pinto beans. I know my.
Look at that. Oh my God. It smells so
it's like
good.
perfectly separated away from the sides of the pan.
That's right.
So I know some folks like to crumble up the cornbread on the bottom and put the beans on top, or you can just serve it with a hunk right in the middle.
I think that's where we're going.
I think that's going to look nice.
Okay, and a ladle is here. Okay.
Right here.
Perfect. All right. Nice. Some nice pieces of garlic too.
Yum.
Looks delicious. And then I'm just going to cut a nice wedge of cornbread with a beautiful skillet. This recipe doubles, this recipe triples, this recipe halves. And it's wonderful because you can have fresh bread, right? And it's not expensive to prepare. That's what I want. Yes. All right, that's it.
Silent. Like, is it going to come out?
So there we go. Look at that beautiful wedge of cornbread and those hot, yummy beans. This is a great meal for fall.
And today is the perfect day.
It is. It is. And then when our sauerkraut's done, I put it on there too and eat a big bowl of this and then take a nap.
Oh, I love it. I love it. We've got Norma hanging out in the chat box and checking out to see if anyone has any questions for Chef Virginia.
Yeah.
Jenny Wood says, finally found you, and Virginia's grandmother loves
hey, Mama. That's awesome.
Jump.
Yeah.
Jump and Jumsky.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, thank y'all for watching today.
Thanks for tuning in. Check later. We were going to share Chef's recipes in our virtual folder. So you can find it at the link that's going to pop up on the screen here. And we'll make sure you get all of her delicious recipes.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much for watching, and bon appetit, y'all.
Thanks, y'all. See you next time.